Level 1, the survivor with a signal. You are 23 years old. You live in what used to be downtown. The city is mostly silent now except for the groaning. You were a college student before. You studied communications but never quite finished. For 6 months, you have been alone in a basement, rationing canned food and listening to the dead walk. Then one morning, you find the radio equipment in the building's old broadcast station 3 floors up. The equipment is dusty but intact. You flip switches carefully. Static fills the darkness. Your heart races. You adjust a frequency and find a clear band. You press the microphone button with trembling fingers. Your voice comes out thin and afraid. You say hello. You repeat it. Hello, is anyone listening? You do not expect an answer. But then, impossibly, a voice crackles back. Another human. Alive. Still breathing somewhere out there. Something cracks open in your chest. You spend hours that day talking to this person. Her name is Maya. She is in a pharmacy 8 blocks away, barricaded on the roof. You tell each other everything. Where you were when it started. How you survived. What you miss most about the before times. When you finally go silent, it is only because your voice is hoarse. You promise to broadcast the same time tomorrow. She promises to listen. You sleep better that night than you have in 6 months. You realize you were dying slowly in that basement. The silence was killing you. You have found something. You do not yet know what. Level 2, the Hopekeeper. You establish a broadcast schedule. Every morning at 9, you go to the radio station. You play music from the old CDs stacked in the station's library. You talk about weather. You describe what you see from the windows. You read old newspaper articles just to have something to say. More voices begin responding on the radio. Not many. Never more than 5 at a time. But they are out there. One man named David is in a hospital 12 blocks away. He ran the radio station before everything ended. He talks you through maintenance. A woman named Sarah is leading a small group in a shopping mall. She tells you there are children with her. 7 of them. They listen to your broadcasts every morning because it calms them. They draw pictures based on the stories you tell. You describe a memory of your grandmother's garden. A girl named Sophie draws flowers for an hour straight afterward. You cry listening to Sarah describe it. Your voice becomes stronger. You stop sounding so afraid. You learn that people need more than survival information. They need stories. They need to know they are not forgotten. You begin documenting what people tell you. You create a registry of survivors. Names, locations, skills, what they need. A retired doctor in a library. A farmer protecting crops outside the city. A mechanic in a parking garage. You are 24 now. You have never felt more purpose in your life. Level 3, the networker. You begin coordinating between survivors. David at the hospital needs medicine. Sarah has some in the shopping mall. You broadcast the need. Within days, someone arranges a trade. The risks are enormous. Going outside means the infected might find you. But the medicine reaches the hospital. A child lives because the network worked. You experience something like triumph. The broadcasts grow more organized. You establish codes. 3 long signals means danger. 2 short means all clear. You teach other survivors how to use smaller handheld radios. More survivors find the frequency. A group of 15 in an apartment complex. A family of 4 in a school gymnasium. An old man alone in a library. Each voice adds another thread to this tapestry you are weaving. You move out of the basement. It is too dangerous now. You begin moving through the city using routes the other survivors tell you about. You set up temporary broadcasting stations in different locations. A church with a working generator. An office building with high windows. You are no longer just a survivor. You are a necessity. When you cannot broadcast for a day because you are sick, 17 people message through asking if you are alright. They are worried about you. No one has ever been worried about whether you lived or died before. You are 25. You have built a radio network connecting 37 survivors across the dead city. Level 4, the voice of authority. The network becomes real infrastructure now. You begin broadcasting actual news. The infected patterns around District 3 are shifting. Avoid the old marketplace. Resources have been found in the northern sector. A new group of survivors has arrived from outside the city walls. You establish protocols. Daily check-ins become mandatory. Every survivor reports their status each morning. Sick? Injured? Need supplies? Your broadcasts become a lifeline that people depend on absolutely. A man named Thomas arrives with military background. He helps you develop safety systems. Evacuation procedures if the infected breach a location. Routes to safe houses. Supply distribution chains. Together, you turn the network from something fragile into something that actually works. You train others to broadcast so there is backup if something happens to you. A young woman named Iris learns quickly. You are no longer the only voice people hear. The network is becoming bigger than you. You are 30 now. The network has grown to include 84 survivors across 3 districts. You have become something like a mayor of the dead city. You hold meetings over the radio. You make decisions about resource allocation. You have power now, and it changes things in ways you did not anticipate. Level 5, the Shepherd. The network stabilizes into something resembling actual civilization. You establish zones. The hospital district where David coordinates medical resources. The farming sector where the old farmer expanded his gardens across rooftops. The residential zone where families attempt to build something like normal life. You broadcast from a central tower now, a real studio that Thomas and others built. There are walls around the city. Real barriers. The infected still come, but less frequently. People have even started to hope. That is when things become complicated. Hope makes people want more than just survival. People begin asking for entertainment. Music. Stories that are not about survival. You start broadcasting old radio plays. You read fiction aloud. On Friday nights, you do a show where survivors call in and talk about their lives before. What they miss. Who they lost. Some nights the pain in those voices is almost unbearable. But they keep calling. The broadcasts become therapy. You become something like a therapist without any training. You are 35 now. The network includes over 200 survivors spread across 5 districts. You have organized the chaos into something approaching order. But you notice something troubling. People trust your voice more than they trust each other. They take your word as law. You begin training successors deliberately. You make sure the system does not depend entirely on you. This is the right thing to do. It also feels like slowly disappearing. Level 6, the Custodian of Civilization. The city becomes genuinely livable. Gardens produce food. Water is purified. The infected have become predictable enough that people can navigate safely. Children are being born again. You held a newborn last month in the hospital. They named him Isaac, after a radio broadcaster from the before times. You cried when you heard his name. The broadcasts have become a cultural institution. People plan their days around them. Dinner happens at 6 because that is when the evening news comes on. Families gather around receivers. It is like the before times, except the world outside is still dead. You begin receiving requests from other radio operators in distant cities. Cities you did not know still had survivors. A woman in a city 300 miles away has built a similar network. Over weeks of careful radio transmissions, you establish long-distance communication. The network is no longer just your city. It is becoming something continental. You are 40 now. You have been broadcasting continuously for 17 years. Your voice has aged. It is deeper. More measured. People recognize the specific cadence of how you speak. Children who were born after the collapse know your voice as the sound of safety. You have become iconic without ever trying to be. You realize with quiet sadness that you are no longer a person to most people. You are an institution. Level 7, the Bridge Builder. You make contact with 3 other major networks on the coast. Then networks inland. Then networks in the south. Through careful coordination over the radio waves, you help build something unprecedented. A continental network of survivors. Information flows freely. Medical discoveries made in one city spread across the entire network within days. New farming techniques spread rapidly. Humanity is not just surviving. It is beginning to rebuild. You stand at the center of this web. Your broadcasts now reach hundreds of thousands across thousands of miles. You are 45 years old and quite possibly the most connected human being alive. The irony is devastating. You are more isolated than you have ever been. You cannot leave the broadcast tower for extended periods. You only know people through voices on a frequency. You have never seen Sarah's face, though you have been friends for 22 years. Your wife, Elena, left 6 months ago. She said she could not compete with a ghost on a radio wave. She was right. You broadcast the next morning like always. The voice that goes out into the world is not quite you anymore. It is a symbol. A function. A necessity. Level 8, the passing torch. You are 52 years old when a new infection strain emerges. It is faster. More aggressive. The infected breach outer walls in 3 major cities. The network descends into chaos. You broadcast continuously for 72 hours, trying to coordinate evacuation routes, trying to keep people calm. Your hands shake on the microphone. Your voice cracks for the first time. You have never let people hear you break before. David's hospital is overrun. He stayed behind helping evacuate children. You sit in the broadcast booth for an hour without saying anything. Then you tell people. You describe David. You cry while broadcasting. The infection spread slows. People adapt again. But something has shifted. You realize you are tired. Tired of being strong. Tired of being the voice. Tired of holding everyone together. You are 58 when you decide to step down. Iris, who learned from you 30 years ago, is ready. You make the announcement on air. It is your final broadcast. You tell the story of how you found the radio station. You describe the first voice that answered yours. You thank every person who ever trusted your broadcasts. When you leave the broadcast tower for the last time, people line the streets. You realize they were never quite sure you were real. You were always just a voice to them. You move to a quiet sector where you had friends before everything became serious. You start to live again, in small ways. Level 9, the quiet end. You are 65 years old now. The world has stabilized in ways you never thought possible. There are schools again. A university is being rebuilt. People are planning futures. You listen to Iris's broadcasts sometimes. She is excellent. Better than you ever were. The network has grown beyond anything you imagined. One morning, you wake up and realize you cannot remember the last time you thought about the infection. You have stopped living in fear. A young person approaches you one day. They are 17, filled with that desperate hunger you recognize. They want to learn about radio broadcasting. They want to be part of something bigger. You tell them everything you know. You see yourself in them. The cycle continues. You are 70 now and finally at peace. Your voice is recorded in the archive. Future generations will listen to it and understand what happened here. You sit on a porch overlooking the rebuilt city. You listen to Iris's broadcast. The network is in good hands. You have done what you came to do. You kept people alive long enough for them to imagine living again. That was always enough.